Hello, and welcome to another episode of Just in Time Worlds with me, Marie Mullaney. My thanks to Order of the Stick for that particular joke in the intro, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Today, I want to talk to you about runic magic, as in using runes, R-U-N-E-S, in order to effect magic. We'll address the mythological content, some uses in fantasy, and other interesting side effects. If you like this kind of world-building content, please do consider smashing that subscribe button. And if you want to support me in making more of these videos, you can buy my book or hit my Ko-fi page. I also do have a Discord server where you can connect with me and other world builders. Okay, let's get cracking. As always, let's look at our world first, specifically the runic mythos of Northern Europe. Odin was a hardcore kind of god. He was seriously into education and wisdom and so on, and he believed that any price was worth paying for hidden knowledge. He sacrificed his eye in Mimir's well, and he threw himself on his spear Gungrin. He then hanged himself on Yggdrasil, the Tree of Life, for 9 days and 9 nights in order to gain knowledge of other worlds and be able to understand the ruins. Pretty hardcore payment. At the end of the 9th night, he at last perceived shapes in the depths, the ruins. They had accepted his sacrifice and shown themselves to him, revealing to him not only their forms, but also the secrets that lie within them. Having been initiated into the mysteries of the ruins, Odin recounted, "Then I was fertilized and became wise. I truly grew and thrived. From a word to a word, I was led to a word. From a work to a work, I was led to a work." Odin gifted humanity with the runes, as we can see through the other Viking mythos, for example, Egil Skallagrimsson. In Egil Skallagrimsson's saga, the skald Egil uses runes to cure a young girl who has been enchanted by false runes. Egil carves new runes, places them under her pillow, and as a result, the girl is healed. The moral of the story is that runes and words can be dangerous in the wrong hands. Unlike the Latin alphabet, which is a very utilitarian thing, the runes of the Norse alphabet was seen as magic. The written word in Northern Europe held a power all its own. On a side note, runes is a very Scandinavian thing, not Finnish. In Finland, we focus more on music as magic, and I'll do a video about that in a few weeks, once I've finished rereading the Kalevala. If you like runes, or if you like magical music, do hit that thumbs up button. And let's move on to check out creation of runes. Where have we seen them used in fantasy, and what does it mean to create a rune? Of course, I must reference American Gods by Neil Gaiman here. There is a scene where Odin draws a rune using salt in order to seduce a waitress when his normal charm fails. And that to me represents the minimum of runic magic. At the very least, you must physically create the rune in order for the effect to take place. Some fantasy authors have gone significantly further. In The Last Rune by Mark Antony, there are 3 types of casters involved in runic magic. Rune binders, who can bind runes into an object. Rune speakers, who can speak the rune and unleash the magic. And rune breakers, who can break the power of a rune. Rune lords are very rare individuals who can do all 3 those activities. This rule of 3 is also echoed in the work of Terry McGarry in the Illumination series. Spells in Terry McGarry's world are created with 3 people working together. One person makes the paper, one person illustrates with images and pictures what is going to happen, and one person inscribes the rune. I'll be honest, I love the Illumination magic system, but I have only read the first book because the plot and characters were not, in my opinion, fantastic. So if you're going to read it, by all means, read it for the beauty of the world, which is very well done. I loved that process of magic, and I count it as one of the best implementations of runic magic that I have seen implemented in fantasy. This system of threes brings up an interesting point around runic timing. Some runic magic is instant. You draw the rune and the thing happens. Some runic magic is not instant, and the magic seems to be more about preparing for a future trigger. So let's explore runic timing. Nowhere is timing of runes better illustrated than in the Deathgate cycle. In the Deathgate cycle, Sartans draw the runes in the air and Patrains inscribe them on their bodies for later use, demonstrating the two modes of operation. First, using runes instantly as essentially a written spell, or second, using runes as a prepared spell that is activated at a later time. Either the mage activates the rune that they have prepared, or the rune is activated as a trap a la my intro sequence and that ancient D&D spell, Explosive Runes. In American Gods, the way that Odin uses runes is also instant, like the Sartans. But I don't like the Sartan runes as much because they dance their runes. They don't physically inscribe them. They can just sketch the runes in the air. This feels like somatic components of spells rather than an actual unique magic system. I prefer having my runes drawn physically, even if that means drawing them in salt or drawing them with chalk on the dashboard of a car, as is done in American Gods. For me, this is the core component of runic magic. You must, at the least, draw the runes, whether they are instantly used or whether they are prepared for later use. We should also speak about runic items. Interestingly, D&D 5th edition has a very nice take on this. In D&D 5th edition, runic magic allows a character to unlock the power in runes and in items that have runic magic. Not every runic mark has the potential for magic. Only those that were created in the beginning of the world, when magic was still fundamental to the world creation process. So in D&D, runic magic created items only back when it was a very powerful force. However, a runic mage can still use those items that were inscribed by those runes, which is a very interesting take on runic magic items. The other aspect that we should talk about in terms of runic magic is its control over spirits. Specifically here, I want to highlight The Painted Man or The Warded Man, depending on whether you're British or American, by Peter Brett. In these books, demons exist in the world and they torment humanity. Humans are protected from the predation of these demons by means of runes. But these runes are flimsy and can very often be destroyed, leading to dire consequences as the demons get into human settlements. There is a man who begins tattooing these runes on his body in order to combat the demons. This kind of spiritual control over demons is often seen in item creation as well, where a rune can imprison a spirit inside an item. The spirit then lends the power of itself to the item, but it is kept in the item by the magic of the rune, making it quite a nice bit of complex item creation. And that segues us into why do runes work? So finally, let's talk about what actually powers a rune, why they work. Sometimes runes function like sympathetic magic. So the rune represents something. It looks like something. This is almost like using a picture to cast spells, but obviously not to the detail as something as the painting of Dorian Gray. Of course, instead of sympathetic magic and pictures, you could use the runes themselves represent a magical alphabet rather than English words, and this alphabet is a god language, if you will. Then your runic magic works because the magic of the runes is embedded in the alphabet, and anyone who learns the alphabet can use it. This is the principle behind Scandinavian runic magic. And lastly, it could be that it's the power of the mage that makes the runes work, and the rune is just the mage expressing that power, infusing the vessel of the rune with his power or with the power of a spirit bound to his will. Kind of like the explosive rune spell or creating an item by binding a spirit. This last one for me shades a little bit into the written word as magic, which I will cover in detail someday when I do my video about writing, its history, and its magic. Okay, so now you're all excited and you want to apply runes to your world. So how do you do that? First, why do your runes work? Are they a force that harness creation? Is the alphabet itself magical? Is it the inscriber of the runes who engenders the magic into the runes and they can write anything they like? What is the driving force behind your runes and why do they work? Then, how do they work? Do you need to inscribe the runes on a special paper? Do you need to use a special ink? Maybe you need to draw the runes in blood. What is the actual ritual that the mage has to go through in order to make the runes work? What is the timing of your runes? Is it instant casting, draw the rune and bamf, the effect happens? Or is it more like preparing a rune so that you prepare it and maybe have it pre-drawn and then you activate it? Or maybe it's a trap, like explosive runes. And then, does it combo with other magic? Can you make it a bigger effect by means of rituals? Is it used for spirit binding, or is it used in item creation? And that is my take on runic magic and its application to fantasy world building. I hope that you enjoyed that episode of Just in Time Worlds. Please do hit the thumbs up button if you did. It helps make sure that the algorithm doesn't bury the content out back. Also, feel free to share this video far and wide. If you really enjoyed this and you want to help me make more of these videos, you can buy my book, The Hidden Blade by Marie M. Mullaney, or you can hit my Ko-fi page where you can make a one-off donation, buy a membership, or even buy a product. And I will see you soon for another episode of Just in Time World.